We Brits are a nation of compulsive collectors. Across the country, there are storage units crammed with clutter.
Oh,
bulging barns and jam-packed garages.
wow, you've got a lot of stuff, Dad.
Home to dreams.
I haven't seen that for so many years.
Memories.
So who did this belong to then?
And excess baggage. And we're drowning in it.
You've got some stuff in here, haven't you?
But among the debris and disorder...
Heavens
Fair enough.
above. I've never seen so many rings.
My mission is to uncover the stories.
They were your grandmother's.
Yeah.
Find the hidden gems.
There's £1,000 there.
Crikey.
And turn the mess into money.
180, 190, 200.
I'm here to help two hoarders in a storage slump straighten up their stash and get the cash rolling in.
Meet our first storage hoarder, lawyer John Bradshaw, who, with the help of colleague Shardy, hopes to sort through a hoard that's been locked away for over a decade, costing him an incredible £15,000. But how did he get here?
When my grandparents died, which was in the early 90s, they left a lot of bits and pieces. When my wife and I divorced in 2001, we sold the matrimonial home and all this stuff had to go somewhere.
John lives in Cambridge, home to one of the world's oldest and best-known universities. But what I want to know is just what our learned friend has been storing away for all these years.
There's a huge amount of rubbish, I think it's rubbish, that has been accumulated over the last 12 years. I was just minded to throw the whole lot away, but I think it may have some value.
John's work as a lawyer means he's been guilty of hoarding away some hefty tomes too.
Being a lawyer, you tend to collect books. You end up with boxes and boxes full of books, and I suppose I always think to myself, I might need that one day.
But will colleague Shardy be willing to throw the book at John about his hoarding habits?
I think Shardy's view of my hoarding is that it's a borderline obsessive-compulsive problem.
I only know him professionally, but taking his desk as an indication, it does seem as though it's a characteristic of Jonathan's, possibly. He spent an extortionate amount of money on storing these various items. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest, but it's not my money.
For John, the time has come to stop defending his hoard and sort it out once and for all.
When I sit down and think about the amount of money that I've spent, it makes me feel cold and stressed, but it's done now, and so I think what I've got to do is stop wasting money for the next 12 years.
And John has some grand plans for the money he hopes to save on storage.
There's an organisation called the Woodland Trust, and you can dedicate a tree to the memory of people. And so what I would like to do is dedicate some trees to the memory of grandparents and parents and so on and so forth.
But with Judgment Day upon him and a storage unit full of stuff, will John be able to see the wood for the trees?
So, looking forward to this, John?
Well, I hope it's not as bad as it could be, but they are.
Ooh, how far does it go back? I can't see.
It goes back about 10 feet, 12 feet.
Oh, so that big mattress is obscuring a lot.
Hiding a multitude of sins, yes.
Shadi, have you seen this before?
No, this is the first time I've seen it.
What are you thinking?
I'm worried.
Where to begin?
Where to begin? Start at the beginning.
There's a chair there, but it's missing a leg.
OK.
And it's a nice chair, so I saved the leg. Oh, it gets better and better, you didn't.
Oh dear, not a great start. But hang on, has John found something that could shine later at auction?
One of those. Needs a good clean.
Oh, yes.
All this
Best
stuff.
wishes from Mr. and Mrs.
Hole.
Do you know if it's silver?
Oh, yes, it's silver, yeah.
Solid?
Yeah.
Ooh. Good.
Be careful.
It folds up.
Oh, my gosh.
There's another one, you see, just to keep
Let
you
it go.
guessing.
Yeah.
Let it go now.
Oh.
And there's another mattress behind.
Yeah, and
there many
behind that,
more
another
behind?
mattress, probably.
Yeah, there's nothing else, it's just mattresses. Ouch, that's my foot.
Why so many mattresses in here?
Well, I sleep a lot.
Well, there's no rest for the wicked as I'm desperate to find out what's lurking in the depths of John's unit. Our next hoarder at large is charity worker Alison Sutherland and her daughter Kirsty. Renting multiple storage units for the past 16 years has ended up costing Alison a whopping £13,000. So, what's the story?
Mother got the units initially from downsizing from quite a large house up in the northeast of England after my stepfather died of leukaemia. And she had a real life change.
Alison lives in Cardiff, the largest city in Wales and home to the famous Millennium Sports Stadium. After the death of husband Alex, Alison stored away all their belongings before making good on a promise to him by undertaking charity work in Africa.
I helped build and found the vocational centre that Alex wanted to set up and train teachers. I realised there was no HIV/AIDS work, so I was going out to villages to do seminars and mobile testing for my vehicle, and also training. It was such a delight, because just to see a smile on a face. The thing which I could give was respect and unconditional love and contact, and that for them was far more important than the material things.
See what's in this one? Look, this is when Nanny was in Tanzania. Look at that.
But after 10 years with an ever-growing family back in Wales, Alison was ready to come home.
I think what finally brought her back was having 3 young grandchildren.
Thought it was time to come and spend time with my family and put my family as number one.
But for Alison, the storage unit holds more than just possessions.
Once we open the container, in some ways I think it will be like Christmas, because I do have memories, some very fond memories of having the things in the house, because we used to entertain a lot. They're special items, and I remember buying each piece, because each piece we bought together, and each piece had a story.
But revisiting the past won't be easy.
I think Mum is going to find it difficult to part with some items, particularly seeing as they do hold so many memories, and really at the end of the day what's in that container was her home, it was her life before she went to Africa. So I think each item in there for her has a story.
I suppose I've run away from it for a long time. I hadn't been ready emotionally, and I feel in a stronger place now.
I think it'll help Mum come to terms with moving on in her life.
I suppose, as Alex would say, it's time to grasp the nettle.
The question is, after 16 years, how will Alison deal with unlocking the memories held in her unit? I've sent antiques and collectibles expert Paul Hayes to help Alison face her overwhelming hoard.
So here we are. So it's like a little house, all in this box here. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, these are your medals. Oh, come on, whose are these? Wow, look at that.
Yes.
International Dance Teachers Association Millennium Award.
Yes. After Alex died, every year I decided to learn something new, and dancing was one of the things that I did. But I also learned to clay pigeon shoot, to dry ski, to play golf, and so on. And I decided, every year we should learn to do something new.
Well, that sounds amazing. So these, I mean, you must have done it to quite a high level to get these sort of awards.
I didn't think so, but... And I'd forgotten they were here.
So does any of this actually belong to you, Kirsty, or is it all to see you?
I think I've got one doll in here, haven't I?
A doll in there somewhere, OK.
Somewhere.
And Paul soon finds evidence of Alison's African-influenced hoarding.
There we go. Now that, to me, looks like an office. Was this that hole? Did you have a room?
That must have been the African bit in me, not wanting to part with stuff which could be used.
Right, OK. When you say the African way of thinking, I mean...
Well, in Africa you don't waste anything, and that's one of the difficulties I have of coming back. You save everything. It sounds ridiculous. You'd save newspaper, you'd save bits of cardboard, plastic bottles, because then you would turn them into something else.
Right. So is that part of the reason why all this is here? You didn't want it to be wasted? That's taught you in Africa to keep everything and to use everything again?
Yes, yes.
Obviously, I mean, used post-it notes. I'm not the biggest sellers when they come to go.
We may need those for the boxes.
We may need those for the boxes. We haven't used them for 3 years, but we may need them for the boxes. It'll be a long day. It's going to be a long day.
Coming up, Sade's getting tough with John.
Don't put that next to me.
And Alison realises just how much you can hide in a container.
It looks rather a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
I think we better get cracking.
Earlier, we met lawyer John Bradshaw and his colleague Sade.
What are you thinking?
I'm worried.
For the last 12 years, he's been storing a jumble of stuff left to him by his parents.
Bed warmer.
And from his former marital home.
There's a chair there, but it's missing a leg.
Costing him £15,000. And when Alison Sutherland's husband died, she put all their possessions into storage and left to undertake charity work in Africa.
So it's like a little house, all in this box.
Over the years, she's racked up a £13,000 bill. Later, our antiques experts will be helping our hoarders pick out anything of value they can take to auction in the hope they can recoup at least some of the cash they spent on storage. To help our hoarders clear their units, I want them to split their possessions into categories. Keep it for those really sentimental pieces, skip it for anything old, broken or just plain awful, or sell it for the items they think could be of value. And there's a charity pile where they can put anything that's too good to chuck. It's time for our storage hoarders to get tough with their stuff. They've got just 3 hours to sort through their possessions. But so our hoarders can see exactly what they're dealing with, I've arranged for some help moving their items to a larger space. Having unpacked, Alison faces an enormous hoard to sort through.
It looks more now it's come out of the container, don't you think?
Yes, but do you know what I like the best bit? It doesn't actually look like my home.
There's a lot to sort through.
Yes. You up for it?
I am if you are. We better get cracking.
Meanwhile, I'm still scratching the surface of John's hoard.
Oh, what about these?
That is what is colloquially known as a tantalus.
Oh, right.
You know, they used to put things on the
Yes,
chain
whiskey,
strand,
sherry,
and
brandy.
Brandy or whatever. And they used to spell it backwards so the servants wouldn't steal it.
So, John, how do you feel about seeing all this stuff again?
Oh. Well, it's lovely to see, but it's just depressing that it's all such a load of tat.
Well, it's not all a load of tat, but you're happy to let it go, are you?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Good, great. That's what we want to hear, isn't it?
What have you got there? Oh, no, that's all gone a bit skew.
Oh, these are gorgeous. Little coffee spoons. What's this?
Well, cutlery.
Wow.
But I mean, it's a famous cutlery set with no knives because we can't find the knives.
Oh, how strange.
Well, it's a shame because they were rather nice, but, you know, they've gone walkers.
Moving John's stuff is a bigger job than I thought.
And this is just the start.
But thanks to our trusty helpers, we've soon cleared the unit, and his boxes are quite something to behold.
Oh, my God.
Good grief.
Don't know where to start.
No. What should we do? Start
Box.
this end.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. This is rubbish.
Oh, I remember these.
Yes. You can have that.
You can't... Oh. Do you want to keep this?
I thought you could have it as a souvenir.
I'll pass, thank you.
Okay.
I'm trying not to hoard.
Good for you, Sade. But John soon shows why he's such a successful hoarder.
May as well keep that. It's free.
Do you want to keep that?
May as well keep that. I mean, is this plastic box worth keeping?
Sade's on a mission, but what could she be hinting at?
Don't put that next to me.
Don't stand too close, then.
Hold on. If we push it.
While Lord John tries to tackle his tat, Alison's taking no prisoners.
Okay.
Don't want that. I think this is actually a cell box.
Set of teddy bear plates.
They're all numbered.
Coalport, my life is a teddy bear. So these are from your collector days.
Sell.
Ooh, I think that was mine somewhere along the way.
Yes, but what are you going to do with it? Do you want to keep it?
No, let's sell it.
All right, you're going.
But Paul soon finds something that could go down well at auction.
Yeah, so this is definitely vintage wine.
Yeah.
So did you used to drink this, or did you buy it for a investment, or what was the score?
No investment. We drank it.
1979. This one's been in. There we are. You see. So would that be a good vintage one? You would have.
Yeah, we would have liked that.
Well, I mean, wine can be such a minefield. You know, some bottles can be worth a fortune, some are worth very little. Some turn to vinegar. You might be surprised, but there could be a rare bottle in there.
I'd be very surprised.
Well, you would be. I mean, sometimes if this is a particularly good year, 1979, they can become sought after, you know, and they can be, you know, £20–30 a bottle upwards, really, and it could be a few quid there.
As Alison continues her declutter, in Cambridge, John's having a rare moment of clarity.
I'm absolutely insane keeping all this stuff for all these years at a huge expense.
Why is it that you've spent so much money storing all of this?
Because I'm mad.
For what reason? It makes absolutely no sense.
No.
But it's not long before some potentially precious items start to emerge from the chaos.
Oh! Ooh, what's this?
Now, that's a good question. I thought most of the medals I had were my father's, but I don't think my father would have had a defence medal because he was actually fighting. So this must have been grandfather or somebody.
Ooh, we need to find out more about these. So what do you think? Do you think that you'd want to hang on to them? Or?
Well, I'd like to find out more about them.
Yes.
I mean, you know, rather than sort of put them straight in a skip or something.
So I think we'll be doing that, John.
I'm intrigued with those medals, so I send John to meet Militaria and medal dealer Toby Pennington. Maybe he'll be able to shed some light on John's family history.
First, straight away, we can tell that he was part of the First Army, which obviously is what this bar denotes here.
It's rather dirty.
Indeed.
Sorry.
But no, it's all right. But the interesting thing is that obviously that shows that he served in North Africa. And then obviously we could make an assumption that he was possibly involved in the invasion of Italy. You've got a First Army clasp there, and he's got the Africa Star, so that is highly likely that he served in Operation Torch, which was the British and American landings in French Algeria. They're an amazing piece of family history, and you know, they really need to be, as you say, you know, removed from the drawer and put in a situation where they can be enjoyed.
Over time, British military medals will only increase in value, and there are plenty of collectors out there willing to pay high amounts for the right examples. The most valuable medal ever sold was a double Victoria Cross, awarded posthumously to Captain Noel Chavasse for outstanding bravery under fire in the First World War. It was sold at auction in 2009 for £1.5 million. But what about John's dad's medals?
The thing, obviously, with medals is they have a set value as a single item. They are perhaps £10 to £15 each. As a single thing, they have a value which isn't representative of if they're all together. Basically, you know, when they're a group and when you have the story of who they belong to, what they did, that's where their true value comes from. What exactly are you looking to do with these?
If you think anybody would want them and would actually, rather than putting them in a scruffy old box and sticking them in the cupboard, I mean, whether I could do something with them, I don't know.
Well, I mean, instead of going home and putting them in a drawer and then another 60 years and then they come out again, what I would suggest doing them is going to somewhere where they can have it properly framed and looked after so that you can have it on the wall, remember your father and what exactly he did, and whenever you walk past it, to enjoy it you know, on a daily basis.
Well, I'm very glad that I've come here today because I thought that Toby was extremely informative and it has made the information that I have about my father's background that much fuller, which is rather nice. I think that probably I'll keep the medals rather than selling them. I thought of selling them initially, but I think that they're a part of my family's history, so I'll hang on to them and see what I can do with them. Maybe mount them on a board or whatever. I've just got to clean them.
John's learning a lot about his family history, so I'm glad he's keeping such poignant reminders of his dad's bravery. Back in Cardiff, Alison's sealing a deal about what to keep.
Where's the other one?
Look.
I'll swap you this one for that one.
OK, this is quite nice German porcelain.
Yes.
Right, OK, so you're going to keep this one now?
Yes.
So that one can go?
That can go.
But it's only a matter of time before she unearths something from her past that really strikes a chord.
It was a time when Alex was fit and well, a time when things were really rosy, and it was hung in our dressing room. And so whenever we walked by it, one of us would pull it.
Right. And how long ago since you've actually seen that item, and how long has it been?
Oh, it would be around 18 years. 18
years. So even though it's been in here 18 years, it still sparked that sort of emotion. And what have you done with that? Has that gone into the sale pile? Has it gone into the keep pile?
It's gone into the keep pile.
This hasn't been easy for Alison, but she's making a real effort to sort out her hoard, so good for her. Our hoarders have finally managed to sort their items into keep, skip and sell piles.
How are you feeling, mate? All right?
Unsurprisingly, Alison's charity pile is huge, but she's keeping just enough to remind her of happy days gone by. John, meanwhile, is finding it hard to let anything go, leaving Shardy unimpressed. But at least he's got a peace offering.
There you are. Have a...
Thank
you so much. Have a cockerel.
Coming up, could some substantial silver save the day for John?
It's really heavy.
And at auction, one item has the sale room soaring.
Next to me at 630. He's out. 640 just there.
Here on Storage Hoarders, I'm on a mission to help our stockpilers in distress get strict with their stash when I ask them to keep it, skip it, or sell it. The question now is, do they have anything of value in their piles? Lawyer John's sell pile is a mix of items handed down through his family and stored after his divorce. Tracy Martin has been an expert in the world of antiques and collectibles for over a decade. But has she found anything in John's hoard that could help recoup his storage costs?
I've got some really exciting things here, actually. Things that really appeal to me as well. First of all, this. John, now you know what this is, don't you?
I think that's a Chinese eating set or something.
It's a travelling eating set.
Yeah.
The chopsticks come out and they're ivory. And I like it because it's just a little bit unusual.
Yes.
It's a bit quirky.
Yeah.
So I like that. Love the top hat. Absolutely. Keep wearing it. Can't help myself.
Won't fit me.
Try it on. Oh, look.
Very good.
Where did it come from? Whose was it?
It was my grandfather's. He has a smaller head than me.
Oh.
Now, you know, again, not huge amounts. I'd probably put that into auction again, about sort of £30 to £50.
Yeah.
But all these pennies add up, don't they? Oh gosh, we've got so much stuff here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Tantalus at the end.
Yeah.
It's all very posh. Not bad condition, that one. About £60 to £80. You obviously like your cutlery. There's
I've thrown dinners all the time.
boxes of it.
Yes.
Now, silver has taken a bit of a dip,
Yes.
price-wise, of late. Now, the thing is,
Yes.
I would ideally like to weigh this, but I
Yes.
can't because I haven't got any scales. We have this huge platter here and this small little dish here.
That was a wedding present to my grandparents in 1920-something or other.
Yeah. It's probably going to be scrap value, purely because that's what people are doing with things. And it's so sad, Aggie, because all these beautiful pieces of gold and silver, you know, are being scrapped. We're not going to have any nice stuff left.
So, what do you think so far?
What do you think of it so far? Well, it's fascinating. There's no point in having it lying around.
No, you're right.
The more I could get for it, the happier I would be.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm glad to see John's being realistic, because there are some items here that could fetch good money at auction. That top hat heads up the lots at £30 to £50. Let's hope the Edwardian drinks Tantalus keeps our spirits up at £60 to £80. And at £20 to £40, the Chinese eating set could be tempting. Tracy wants to wait and see what the auctioneers think about John's significant haul of silver, but we're hoping it could serve up a decent amount on the day. But there's one more intriguing item that's caught Tracy's eye.
It's a barograph. Do you know what it does?
It measures the atmospheric pressure as
Hey!
it changes.
You don't
And
need
it writes it on that bit
On
of
the
paper
drum.
if you let it.
This is a very specialist item.
Yes.
Because the thing with barographs is there's quite a large gap between low end to high end. So
Yeah.
some can sell maybe £200–300. depending on the maker, the condition, the casing, the wood casing, to as much as £1,000. So I think this is a great thing to take to a specialist.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
To find out a bit more about the barograph, Tracy takes John to meet Mark Coxhead. He's been selling antique clocks and barometers for nearly 20 years. Maybe he'll make John an offer.
There you are.
So, how long have you had it, John, the barograph?
Well, my grandfather had it in his office in the city for as long as I can remember, and he used to get his secretary to wind it up and change the paper.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
graph every week.
It's a really quality, item because of the way this is all made out of aluminium. These chambers as well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 of those, which is an indication of quality. I think some have 8.
And what purpose is the chambers?
There's a vacuum in each one of these, and that, as the pressure changes outside, that makes this move up and down. So the pressure makes these bellows go up and down.
I see, yeah.
And then that draws onto the chart here.
Oh, fascinating.
After their introduction in the 1840s, barographs gave a much more accurate record of weather changes than barometers, particularly at sea, where predicting weather patterns was a rather hit-and-miss affair. These days, barographs are mostly digital, but some earlier models with a high standard of workmanship can still fetch many thousands of pounds. But what about John's example?
In auction, typically, you would see a barograph like this estimated at sort of 200 to 400.
OK. Is this something that you might be interested in purchasing?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I like it. It's a really nice one.
So what sort of price would you be willing to pay?
Around, in that condition, I'd pay about £300.
And I think that's quite a fair price, actually. But, John, it's your barograph, so are you happy to accept £300 from Mark?
Well, I have to put my haggling hat on. Will you go to 350?
Yeah, I would, yeah. I think 350 probably would be a fair price, yeah. So, yeah, 350 would be OK, yeah.
Yeah, you can have it.
Then John's happy and,
Brilliant.
But I thought that was a very fair price for something. I shall feel as if my arm's been struck off. But it's still, it's a worthwhile. It's gone somewhere where somebody appreciates it, which is good.
Well, £350 is a great result for John's barograph. But now it's time for him to see how the rest of his hoard fares when it goes under the hammer at auction. Will he manage to put some more pounds in his pocket?
Now, you've got a fair number of items today.
So I'm told, yes.
And I'm particularly excited about, don't know whether you are, about the silver.
Yes,
the estimates
it sounds
of the silver.
quite interesting. When we were at the clear-out day, we put a very conservative estimate on it.
How much reserves have you put on the silver?
Well, we've got 2 sort of significant silver lots, and I think the reserve on both of them is £600.
OK, on each?
Yes,
600 on
one,
each?
Yes.
But
the estimates are 600 to 800 for each of them. So,
Could be exciting.
Well, I'm glad John's in an optimistic mood, and it seems auctioneer William Rouse has some more good news about his haul of silver.
One of the items that one of my cataloguers pulled out from the boxes when she was preparing for the sale a couple of days ago was a very large silver tray, which weighs, I believe, almost 2 kilos, which is very heavy for a silver tray. So that has now got an estimate of £600 to £800 on it. And there's some other silver, so overall I think that's looking very good.
Well, that makes things even more exciting as the auction is about to start. And let's hope there are a few gentlemen bidders in the room, as first up is that Edwardian top hat valued at £30 to £50.
What's the hat worth? Start me, £20 for it. 20 I'm bid everywhere, 22, 25, 28, 30, 32, 35, 38, 40, 42, 45, 45 here, 48, 50, £50 then. Here at £50 for the hat. It's going then £50.
Is that a good start?
yeah, I wouldn't have thought it was worth that at all.
Oh, there you are.
A great start. The hat tops out at its high estimate of £50. Here's hoping the bidders are hungry for Chinese collectibles, as next up is the 19th century chopstick set, valued at £20 to £40.
Somebody likes the lot. I'm straight in at £35.
Straight in at 35.
38, 40, 42, 45, 48, 50, 55, 60, £68 here, then it is. £68.
£68 again. Most of your stuff is going above the estimate.
Well, at £68, it seems someone fancied a taste of the Orient. Next is the Edwardian Tantalus set with cut glass decanters estimated at £60 to £80.
85, 90, 95, 100, 110, 110 further away, 110.
110? Wow, wow, wow.
Well, I'm happy to see our bidders were tantalised to the tune of £110. But I'm really excited to see our first silver lot of the day, that small but beautifully formed 19th century salver, estimated at £80 to £120. But will it attract the bidders?
Straight into the bidding at £160. With me at 160. Would you like 170? 170, 180, 190, 200 with me. Still with me at £200. The left bid, £200.
200.
Wow, what a result as the silver salver nearly doubles its estimate, selling for a glittering £200. But will its big brother seduce the sale room? Weighing in at a whopping 2 kilos is that large Mappin & Webb silver salver at £600 to £800.
Next to me at 630. Let's go in 10, 640. He's out, 640, just there, at 640. Anybody else then? 640.
That's good.
Good, it's fantastic.
Just within the estimate, John's striking silver tray shines brightly for the bidders, selling for £640. The last of the silver lots is a collection of knives, forks, teaspoons and flatware, tipping the scales with an impressive estimate of £600 to £800.
Goodness me, I'm straight in here at £600. 620, 640, 660, 680, 700, 720 is my last.
725.
725 against the left bid is a bit cheeky, but there we go. 725 in the room, 730 is the next bid. £725 next to me.
£725.
That's me finished, isn't it?
That's you done.
Well, that's brilliant. Our final silver lot polishes off the bidding, selling for £725.
Oh my goodness, that's a fantastic result.
Everything's gone. That's great.
God. I mean, from the top hat at the start, which was a real good one.
Yes, I was pleased the top hat went, but...
What a roll.
Yeah, got rid of everything. It's wonderful.
But pleased?
I'm delighted, actually. I mean, I think it's a relief to no longer have these things to stow away somewhere and to have got rid of them. Certainly, I was astonished by the silver, which, you know, I have had sitting around the place, you know, for 10 years or whatever it is.
Yes, which you were probably, you know, in the recent past, happy to give away.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So after commission, we've seen John's items make over £2,000. Coupled with the barograph he sold to the specialist, that gives him a grand total of £2,374. That's great work.
So, John, what's happening with the unit now?
Well, at the moment, there's odd bits and pieces still in there.
What sort of things?
Well, there were all those books that I was going to give to the law library in Cambridge, and I haven't actually done that yet. There's a couple of chairs which need to be something to be done with.
Put on a skip, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But I've got the bug now, and I really am going to get rid of all this stuff.
Oh, good. You better.
Yes, I will.
For years, John had been storing a hoard of family belongings and what was left over from his divorce, thinking it was all rubbish. But I'm sure he's been pleasantly surprised by what he's found. Hopefully it'll give him the motivation to move forward and start decluttering his life for good. Still to come, there's a bitter blow for Alison and her vintage vino.
It's not as it was. It's like...
But will her items be to the bidder's taste at auction?
And bid 150, 160, 170.
Earlier on Storage Hoarders, Lord John Bradshaw made over £2,000 selling some of the contents of his storage at auction. Now it's the turn of charity worker Alison Sutherland and her daughter Kirsty. She's spent an incredible £13,000 on storage, so fingers crossed she can get at least some of that back. Antiques expert Paul Hayes has been helping Alison identify the items that could really help her recoup her storage costs.
We have two pieces of large furniture. I thought they'd do you a favour to get rid of those. Are you going to likely to use these items again? One is this wonderful sort of sideboard. It's got quite a Liberty style to the actual copper handles there. I mean, that's a good mahogany sideboard. I put that in to give it a chance, £100 to £150. Okay. Well, one thing that never really goes out of fashion is the old button leatherback chairs. I love that. I mean, that's just like an old Chesterfield. You imagine Sherlock Holmes sat in that, can't you, really? I love that.
It's very comfortable.
Well, it's oxblood leather. It's modern. It's not an antique one, but it's still £100 to £150 all day long, really. That one, I'd be surprised if it doesn't go for a little bit more if someone has an office and wants that sort of antique look. So, when you were having your afternoon tea, did you use your silverware as well? Did you ever use it?
This was used for dinner parties with candles, and then at Christmas it would have holly and things on.
Well, these are silver-plated items, EPNS, electroplated nickel silver. OK, and you can actually see some of the nickel coming through here when they're being polished. People like to see that, but when they're on copper, they show through a little bit of red, and they call that bleeding. It's like a little red sort of tinge to it. That's a £200 lot. All right, so you're looking 200 to 300 on that little lot there. OK. So, Kirsty, is this your doll collection here?
No, definitely not. They're Mum's.
Right. So what sort of possessed you to buy these sort of items then?
I'm at a loss to actually answer that. I don't know. I must have been having a really off day and needed to buy something.
Not at all. I mean, this was the style and the fashion. The early 90s, really, this goes back to. I remember selling items like this. But you've 7 of those, and I put those in at sort of £80 to £120 for those 7. I mean, can you bear to part with them? Are you all right to...?
I can live with that.
Right, OK.
I will make her part with those.
OK. Well, I'll tell you what's nice, actually. You've kept the boxes and all the original packaging. And people look for that sort of thing. They put them away, and hopefully future generations will enjoy them. But they're a Victorian look, but they're a modern doll.
Well, Paul's highlighted some pretty impressive items to take to auction, including a Victorian mahogany sideboard estimated at £100 to £150. That red leather chair, also at a comforting £100 to £150. Let's hope those porcelain dolls aren't just a pretty face at £80 to £120. Earlier, John did well with his solid silver, but at £200 to £300, is there an appetite for Alison's silver-plated pieces too? Alongside the Imari plates, Paul saw some other ceramics in the shape of these Royal Doulton figurines, which he estimates at £150 to £200, and an old country rose tea set at a refreshing £200 to £300. Not a bad haul so far, but there's still the matter of those cases of wine which were collected by Alison's late husband. So Paul takes Alison to meet Carl Davies, who's been in the wine trade for 10 years. Let's hope he can tell us more and make Alison a tasty offer.
So Alison, where have you kept this box then for the last, 18 years plus? Sorry, was that in storage at home? Was it under the stairs or in the loft? Or?
No, it was in storage with all the belongings.
From an investment point of view, the wine would really have to have been stored in a temperature-controlled environment, normally by a wine merchant with years and years' experience of storing wine as an investment. But you haven't kept it in a loft or in a garage where the temperature fluctuates enormously, so that's a very good thing. So it's not a disaster, but it's not the best and most ideal environment either.
Right. These are 1979. Was that a good year itself, or is that a sought-after year when it comes to vintage wine?
The 70s, I'm afraid it doesn't get any better. The 70s...
What was wrong with the 70s? I remember the 70s.
Yeah. The 70s are generally regarded as a very poor vintage for Burgundy in particular.
So we know that 79 isn't a particular sought-after vintage, but do we know that these are usable now, are collectible? I mean, have they been destroyed, been in the unit? I mean, can you tell by looking at them whether they're going to be drinkable, maybe that or something?
It's almost certain that the wine now has gone through a stage where it's almost going towards vinegar at this stage now.
Right.
So I'd
Could I use it for marinating?
You can red wine vinegar. Why not?
Wine collecting is becoming increasingly popular in the UK, but as Carl says, it's all about the storage. Even if you have a wine rack, always store sparkling wines at the bottom, where the temperature will be the coolest, then whites, then reds at the top. The highest price ever paid for a bottle of wine was for an 1869 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. sold in 2010 for almost £150,000. But will we be raising a toast to Alison's case of vintage wine?
They're fascinating, but I'm afraid there's very little value. Really, we're looking, I would say, absolute maximum of £10 a bottle. They'll be really interesting to show at a tasting, maybe to open one or two of them to illustrate what happens to a wine as it's peaked and gone over the edge, as it were, right. And just to smell it and taste it and see the colour.
Well, as I always say, there's no time like the present. Cheers!
It's not as it was. It's like...
Well, there we go. It reminds me of the...
It's lacking body. All the body's gone. Is that right?
Well, the body's in there.
I'm very happy with the outcome of today because I didn't really anticipate that they would be worth anything because I know that I haven't taken the care of them that I should have taken.
Well, in yet another act of kindness, Alison ended up giving Carl the wine for nothing. But now it's time to head to the auction to see how the rest of her lots do when they go under the hammer.
How are you feeling about today?
I have mixed feelings because obviously today, I suppose, is really the bottom line of what we've been doing. And I mustn't view the items, I must view the fact that it's closure.
So you're feeling optimistic?
Yes.
Good. Me too. All the best.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Alison certainly got a variety of lots, but what does auctioneer William Rouse think?
There is a bit of what we call brown furniture. There's a chest of drawers and a sideboard. There isn't quite the demand there used to be for that sort of thing, so we'll have to wait and see.
One of those pieces of furniture is first to go under the hammer, a late Victorian sideboard valued at £100 to £150.
And there we go, £50 for a sideboard. Anybody want to start me for £50 for the sideboard? Nobody want a sideboard for £50? Sorry.
Not the best start. With no interest in the room, the sideboard fails to attract any bids at all. And sadly, the other piece of brown furniture doesn't manage to sell either. Let's hope Alison's next lot, a large collection of silver plateware, including punch bowls, cups and candelabras, valued at £200 to £300, fares a bit better.
And lots of interest in it. I'm bid straight in £160. With me at 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. £200 is bid. 210 I'll take. Is it any more? £200.
200?
Just making its estimate, the collection serves up a respectable £200. Now onto the ceramics as the Royal Doulton figurines stand proud before the bidders, estimated at £150 to £200.
110 I'm bid. 120. 130, 140. 140 with me at £140. Anybody else? 140, 140.
So that was 140.
Looks like the figurines have found a new home, selling for £140. Among the other ceramics, the Imari plates dish up £130. And those porcelain dolls charm their way to £80. But sadly, both the Royal Albert Old Country Rose set and the Ainsley Fruit and Leaves set fail to sell. It looks like our hopes rest on that red leather button-back chair, valued at £100 to £150.
50 I'm bid. 55, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, £100 here. At £100 it is. £100.
Well, the chair settles in at the lower estimate of £100. Not bad at all.
So now the excitement's over. How was that for you, ladies?
I think I had mixed feelings. I think some of it went according to plan and others was a little disappointing, but overall it was good because we achieved the goal, which was to make the journey.
Exactly. And the unsold items, what are you doing with them?
We're going to take them back, aren't we?
Yes.
And we're either going to sell them locally or give them away.
So after commission, Alison's items have made almost £600. Not quite the grand total we were hoping for, but still a useful amount.
Kirsty, what do you think about what your mum's achieved?
I'm very proud of her. I think she's done really well. And this whole process has been great because it's kick-started us into sorting this out. And it was a daunting task, and she's proven she can do it.
How have you found the whole experience, Alison?
I'm really glad that I've done it, because I think without this, I wouldn't have taken this step.
So what are your plans for all the money that you're going to make from everything?
Oh, there's only one thing I could possibly think of, would be a ticket to Argentina.
Oh, really? A ticket to Argentina? Oh, do you know about this?
No, I think we have to negotiate on a...
This is the first you've heard of it.
It's been an emotional experience for Alison. After returning from Africa, she bravely faced up to life without late husband Alex. I really hope sorting her storage has helped her on her way to a brighter future with her family.
Join me, Aggie Mackenzie, next time on Storage Hoarders.